there's a new tariff plan. Shouldn't say that.
I'd like to call the Richfield Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting of July 20th, 2026 to order. That brings us to staff will note attendance tonight. Brings us to our open forum. Participants can share their comments in person, by voicemail or email, and may also request to participate virtually. For more information on submitting comments, refer to this Housing and Redevelopment Authority agenda and minutes page on the city's website. We don't have anyone in the council chambers tonight. Has anyone reached out through other means?
We have not received any comments, Chair.
Oh, okay, thank you. That brings us to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes of the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting of May 18th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we don't, this evening we don't have any presentations or any items on the consent calendar or public hearings or resolutions. That will actually bring us down to other business, which is consideration of a policy for use of the 4D tax classification as a tool to create and preserve affordable housing. And with that, I will ask for a staff report.
Yes, thank you, Chair Hansen. I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Director Urban for the staff report.
Thank you, Chair Hansen, members of the HRA. The City of Richfield is committed to maintaining Richfield as an affordable place to live and supporting the creation and preservation of housing affordable to a range of income levels. One of the tools the city can use to create and preserve affordable housing for those with lower incomes is the 4D1 tax classification. When the city or its Housing and Redevelopment Authority or Economic Development Authority provides financial assistance to an affordable multifamily property and places rent and income restrictions on the property as a condition of the assistance, the property may qualify for 4D. The 4D classification provides a reduction in the tax classification for the property from 1.25% to 0.25%, resulting in substantial cost savings to the property, which can help facilitate new construction as well as encourage the preservation and rehabilitation of existing affordable rental housing. The cost savings, however, reduces the city's tax capacity and shifts the costs to other city taxpayers, so both costs and benefits must be considered. 2 work sessions were held with the City Council and the HRA EDA to discuss the use of 4D and its impacts and provide guidance on a policy the city can use when it has the discretion to approve financing which would qualify a property for 4D. The consensus was that 4D should be a tool of last resort and used only in instances when other funding has been maximized and when the city's highest housing priorities will be met. Policymakers placed the highest priority on maintaining Richfield as an affordable place to live, preserving and rehabilitating existing affordable rental housing, and diversifying the tax base. Based on these priorities, the proposed policy establishes that the use of 4D will be considered to preserve naturally occurring affordable housing that meets a variety of additional housing priorities. For example, units that are physically accessible or units with 2 or more bedrooms. In the case of new construction, 4D will only be considered when other financing tools have been exhausted, housing priorities are being met, and it makes financial sense for the city. The City Council approved the policy on June 9th. The HRA is being asked to ratify the policy and apply it when making financial decisions that create the conditions under which a property may qualify for the 4D tax classification. Because 4D has tax implications that affect the city as a whole, any financial decisions made by the HRA that enable 4D will also be brought before the City Council for consideration. The proposed policy will guide these deliberations. That concludes my staff report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions from the HRA? I guess seeing no questions, I would ask if there's a motion.
I'll move to adopt a resolution ratifying a policy governing the use of 4D1 tax classification to help create and preserve affordable housing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Do you guys want to go first?
Pardon? Yes.
I just really appreciate all of the work by staff that went into this and went into explaining it to us. Like, I felt like I understood kind of the complexities of this. Initially, you'd think that it would be something that, or initially I thought it was something that we would want to use more widely, and I really understand kind of the limited scope, and I feel like that what is in our packet reflects what was discussed. So I just really appreciate all the time and energy that went into creating something that kind of reflects the city's values in that regard.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? Commissioner Supple?
I would agree that I think it was very useful to go through all the pros and cons because there are both good and bad things about use of 4D. And I think we landed on a good place saying it's a tool of last resort and it should be used more for the preservation than it is for new housing. So I'm very appreciative of having taken the time to go through this when there wasn't a development proposal in front of us, so we could just talk about the policy aspect of it.
Commissioner Hayford O'Leary?
Yeah, I'm also happy with where we landed. I think this is reasonable, and I will support it as I did on the council. I do just want to repeat a comment I made at the council for the benefit of the board, which is to remember that this provides a good baseline for what we want to support and when we want to support it, and it allows staff to advise applicants on what they think aligns with the policy and what makes sense to go forward. But it's ultimately up to us and the city council to actually apply it and actually say no. Just to remember that there will always be more direct pressure to say yes, and having to stand up for the tax base when it feels like that might be against affordable housing is a difficult position to be in, even with the perfect policy, although I think this is a great policy. So I think it's great the way this balances it, and it reminds us that anytime we give one property a break, it is other homeowners and other property owners, including other naturally occurring affordable housing, that picks up the rest of it. So I think this is a reasonable compromise, but just to remember that ultimately we're kind of the ones that have to enforce this.
Okay. Commissioner Young?
I agree with what everybody has said, so I won't repeat any of it. Just thank you for your hard work on it.
I guess one thing I really like about it is that it still seems like it offers some flexibility to us, which I think is important with the different dynamics that are going on in the community. So I appreciate that aspect of it.
Chair, can I ask a question? To Commissioner Hayford O'Leary's point, how do we, like, is there an application, or like how will we approve this, and like what's the HRA role versus the city council role in that?
So we do have a formal application that a developer fills out when they request financial assistance, and they could be requesting, there's several boxes they could check. It could be from the trust fund, it could be for tax increment financing, and then we have 4D as one of the options. And so it's an application that someone fills out, and we vet as staff, and we also run by our financial consultants, and I think we have a good idea now of the kinds of information we would need from our financial consultants to best consider an application. But so staff certainly vets it, and it would be our responsibility as staff to share the policy and say whether we think it meets it or not. I mean, we like to always come before you with a recommendation. We like to provide clear direction to developers when they come. Sometimes they listen to our direction. Sometimes they don't, and so sometimes, unfortunately, yeah, maybe we bring something before you that we don't think is quite right, but we believe our job is to bring you items that are easy for you to decide, that they're clear. So that's always our goal.
All right, any other final comments? I guess all in favor of the motion before us, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Well, that brings us to the Executive Director's Report.
Thank you, Chair Hansen, members of the board. I do have a couple of updates for you tonight. First of all, the Bring It Home program, I believe we mentioned last month that the application process was beginning. We did open for 1 week in June. We're in the process of reviewing all of those applications now. We also received our first applications for the school to housing, or our first school to housing referrals from the school district. They are another partner in this. So from these applications, we will create our waiting list in the next couple of weeks, and we should be ready to issue our first vouchers and make our first payments by September 1st. We also plan to reopen the application period, the waiting list in September at the same time as our Kids at Home program. We don't believe that this waiting list will utilize all of the vouchers that we have available. So we will reopen to take advantage of the return to school and catching families there. So we anticipate issuing 5 to 10 vouchers per month and hopefully be fully operational by the end of this year. One other update, we did get our final certified amount for our local affordable housing aid for 2026. That amount will be $699,000. That's up a little bit from last year when we got $653,000. A reminder that this uses the portion of households in Richfield that are considered cost burdened to find our allocation, but there is a 2-year lag. So this is based on 2024 American Community Survey data, so 2024 data. So I wanted to update you on that, and you will see that in the budget presentation next month. And that's all for my report.
Thank you. HRA discussion items. Okay, seeing nothing come forward, I'll ask for a motion for approval of claims.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded for approval of claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that concludes tonight's business for the HRA, so the meeting stands adjourned. I'd like to call this meeting of the Richfield Economic Development Authority of July 20th, 2026 to order. Staff will note attendance tonight. And that brings us to the open forum. Participants can share their comments in person by voicemail or email and may also request to participate virtually. For more information on submitting comments, refer to the Economic Development Authority agenda and minutes page on the city's website. We don't have anyone in the council chambers tonight. Has anyone reached out by other means?
We have not received any comments, President Hansen.
All right, thank you. That brings us to approval of the agenda, and I do have a note that there will be an amendment to the agenda. Commissioner Supple.
President Hansen, I would like to move approval of the agenda with one amendment. I'd like to move item 13A, the continuation of consideration of transformation home loan guideline revisions, and move it up to other business, which would be item 11.
All right. Is there a motion for approval of the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the agenda has been, a motion has been made for approval of the agenda as amended by Commissioner Supple. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes of the regular Economic Development Authority meeting of May 18th, 2026. Is there a motion?
I move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Okay, the minutes have been approved, and a motion has been made for approval of these minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We don't have a presentation tonight, but we do have one item on the consent calendar. And with that, I will ask for the staff report.
Thank you, President Hansen, members of the board. The consent calendar can contain several separate items which are acted upon by the EDA in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved. No further EDA action on these items is necessary. However, any EDA commissioner may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar and placed on the regular agenda for discussion and action. All items listed on the consent calendar are recommended for approval. As noted, there's only a single item on your consent calendar tonight. It is item A, consideration of a policy for use of the 4D1 tax classification as a tool to create and preserve affordable housing. And I submit this for your consideration.
All right, is there a motion for approval of the consent calendar?
I move approval.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded for approval of tonight's consent calendar. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and then that will actually bring us down to other business, which is a continuation of consideration of the transformation home loan guidelines revisions. And I will ask for the staff report.
Thank you. Housing Specialist Hillary Lovelace is here tonight to present the staff report.
Thanks. In May 2026, the Economic Development Authority reviewed proposed revisions to the Transformation Home Loan Program guidelines and proposed an increase in program funding. The EDA approved the funding increase but requested additional information regarding the proposed income limits and project value thresholds, along with more data supporting the program changes. We're back here tonight providing that information. The Transformation Home Loan Program is intended to provide a financial incentive to homeowners initiating major remodeling projects that increase the function and livability of small or outdated homes and increase the range of housing options available in Ridgefield. Program evaluation completed in 2025 found that the loan was increasingly representing a smaller share of total project expenses, which reduces its effectiveness as a financial incentive, especially for households with higher incomes. Applications approved in 2026 highlighted inconsistencies in how program goals were interpreted, which demonstrated a need for clarity within the guidelines. While the goals of the program remain unchanged, updates to the program guidelines were proposed to better achieve these goals in response to the changing housing conditions and demographics in Ridgefield. Income guidelines and the income limits to be used for the program are listed in the agenda item, including a range from 200% AMI for one household being $185,400 a year, to a household of 5 reaching $286,000 a year, and a 250% area median income ranging from a household of one person at $231,750 up to a household of 5 with a 250% AMI limit of $357,500. Staff proposed establishing a maximum household income limit of 200% of area median income, or AMI, for standard projects, and 250% of area median income for projects that include an accessory dwelling unit, a duplex conversion, or significant accessibility or energy efficiency improvements as part of the project. AMI is calculated annually by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Review of loans approved in 2025 and 2026 showed that all but 2 households would have remained eligible under the proposed limits. These thresholds help ensure public funds are targeted toward households for whom the loan is most likely to serve as an incentive rather than subsidize projects that would be completed without any other assistance. Staff propose a maximum eligible project cost of $200,000 for standard projects. Projects that include an ADU, duplex conversion, or significant accessibility or energy efficiency improvements would be exempt from this limit. Only one recipient over the past 2 loan cycles would have exceeded this proposed threshold. As project costs increase, the fixed loan amount becomes a smaller share of the total investment and less effective as an incentive. The proposed limit helps direct funds towards projects where the loan is most likely to influence project feasibility. Staff continue to recommend that the EDA approve the revisions to the guidelines as proposed. And we recommend that by motion, you approve the recommended revisions to the Transformation Loan Program guidelines.
All right, questions from the commission? Commissioner Hayford O'Leary?
So the limits described are a lot more comfortable than what I thought they were from the misunderstanding in May, but can you clarify why these are so different than what, like, Met Council posts on their site?
Yeah, Chair Hansen, Commissioner Hayford O'Leary. The information posted on the Metropolitan Council website does not go above 100% of AMI. Some communities choose to calculate AMIs higher than 100% AMI, especially for incentive projects like this one. In most situations, they're using the percentage of 100% AMI just multiplied by a factor. So 1.5 for 150% of AMI, 2 for 200% AMI. So we're using factors that are higher than most.
Okay, so 200% AMI is more than double 100% AMI?
It's just double 100% AMI.
Okay. All right.
Commissioner Hayford O'Leary, I would just add, I think where you were taking that number
Yeah.
was we found very confusing ourselves, and we have two former Met Council staff people, and they had trouble explaining. I think that it is actual numbers, so of actual, as opposed to taking an aggregate, and
Okay.
yeah, so it was. It's not what we use, I think is the most, yeah.
Okay.
That is not what we use. We go to HUD and use the chart from HUD and then extrapolate out to the 200 and 250, yeah. Yeah, I found where you were taking that number from, and I found it very confusing as well. And I concluded just to say, that's not where we take the numbers from.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, assuming those are the general limits and would adjust year to year, I'm a lot more comfortable with this. My concern in May was that the income limit for a small household would be so low that nobody could afford to do a project if they had that level of income. And I think in my example, household of one, 185,000 to 231,000, it's very plausible that they could both do a major project and could use city support. So I am supportive of this limit now.
Okay, additional questions? Any additional questions? Okay, then I will entertain a motion.
I move approval of the recommended revisions to the Transformation Loan Program guidelines.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. Are there any comments that anyone would like to make? Commissioner Supple.
I'm really glad you asked the questions because this extra information was very helpful, and I now understand how it works more, because I want to be a good steward of taxpayer resources, and if people don't need the incentive and would be doing it anyway, then we need to be targeting the resources to help people that wouldn't be doing the projects. So I think this was good that we went back and re-examined it, so thank you.
Okay, any additional comments? Commissioner Hayford O'Leary.
Just making one other comment. I think this was already in there in May, but I appreciate the additional clarity on how appeals would work, since that did come up recently and it was a little bit unclear how that will be implemented. So I'm hopeful that both for applicants and for staff, this is going to be clearer for everyone. So thank you for that work.
All right, any additional comments? All right, all in favor of the motion before us, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. That will bring us to the Executive Director's report.
Yes, thank you, President Hansen, members of the board. I wanted to share an update on the Richfield Resiliency Program, which you know was the program that we created to help with the impacts that Operation Metro Surge was having on many of our Richfield businesses. All applications have now been reviewed and eligibility has been determined. The EDA will be able to help 10 small businesses in Richfield. There were 46 total applications. Of those applications, 24 of them were determined to be fraudulent. So that is unfortunate, but we, with our partners, were able to suss those out. 12 applicants were ineligible or did not respond to our request for additional information. And as I said, 10 were eligible and will be receiving funds. Forgivable loan agreements are in the process of being signed by the president, myself, and the business owners. And then Next Stage, our partner, Next Stage staff, and Jan Youngquist, our economic development manager, will be going out to businesses to close in person and deliver the checks. And that is supposed to happen this week. So that's very exciting for these 10 businesses and for us. Awards are going to total roughly $64,000. You will recall that we budgeted up to $150,000 for this program, so well within those limits. But really happy to be able to help these 10 small businesses in the community. And that's my update.
All right, thank you. EDA discussion items. Commissioner Suppel.
I'm really happy to hear that report about the resiliency program, because I think it's really important that we help our small businesses thrive, and so that's kind of the purpose of the EDA. So I'm happy to hear that that's going to be working. Is there any thought that it may continue into the future, or is this a one-time thing?
You know, of the applications that came in, we were able to fund everyone. Economic Development Manager Youngquist has gone around and personally knocked on a lot of small business doors. So I don't think that we'll reopen the program. The nice thing to know is that we do have the bones of a program. Should an emergency arise, it would be a lot easier to do something like this again. So keeping the guidelines in our pocket, but I think this is a one-time thing. Now, we'll move to focus on the Richfield Revive program that was put on hold to address this. You'll recall that that one helps businesses in older buildings to revitalize and invest in their space, also through a forgivable loan program. So moving on to that now.
Thank you again for all the work you did on that and for the diligence to make sure that we didn't have any fraudulent claims. That's really important.
All right, any additional discussion items? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to approval of claims. Is there a motion to approve the claims?
I'll make a motion to approve claims.
Second.
Okay, approval of claims a motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And that completes tonight's business, so the meeting will stand adjourned.